I'm really excited that we are talking about Howard Zinn's A People's History of the United States and using this as a read-in, not only as a way to discuss the question of academic freedom, but also to raise questions about what is the role of the university in the contemporary landscape with respect to politics, with respect to economics, with respect to social structure, and with respect to the kinds of questions that we ought to be asking. The recent debate around Howard Zinn's A People's History of the United States relate to the current president of Porto University, Mitch Daniels, uh, recommending his staff to remove the book from K through 12 classroom teaching when he was the governor of the state of Indiana. Through a Freedom of Information Act, the Associated Press was able to gain access to a series of emails where Daniels talks about Howard Zinn and refers to his work as being of poor quality, recommending that this work be removed from classrooms because of the quality. Now, to give you a little bit of a context to Howard Zinn, I was introduced to Howard Zinn by my father, who has always been interested in people's narratives that emerge from everyday folk. And I think this is the basic appeal of Howard Zinn, which is his ability to ask us who writes history, what are the dominant narratives that circulate in history, and how do these relate to the positions of power within which historical narratives are situated. Particularly for those of us in the social sciences and with our work at CARE, we are interested more in the question of the politics of evidence making. What does it mean to consider evidence? What is the question of truth and how it relates to the kind of evidence from which we make specific truth claims? How are these truth claims situated within the broader methodologies through which we arrive at the truth, through which we evaluate the character and quality of truth, and through which we arrive at specific conclusions? So, for instance, if you were to make specific forms of truth claims about one particular piece of evidence that you're talking about, how do these truth claims relate to the social structure within which that evidence is situated, the methodology for gathering that evidence is situated, and therefore within which the possibilities of what we articulate are situated? And if we try to connect this then to the broader question of academic freedom, it relates to the goals of universities as spaces for raising critical questions, not only in terms of how do we determine what is objective, but also in terms of how do we use our claims of objectivity to forward particular agendas, to carry out specific forms of pronouncements and practices, and at the same time to limit or erase other kinds of pronouncements and practices. So I think that's what I'm looking forward to discussing in our read-in of Howard Zinn, not only as a way for imagining the university as a space for asking questions, but more fundamentally as a space for asking questions that relate to objectivity, quality of arguments that are made, and the broader politics of academic freedom.